All right, let's take a look at section 7-3, factoring polynomials. In chapter 6, we learned how to multiply two binomials, so two terms, using the FOIL method. And in this section, we're going to work backwards. And we're going to take the trinomial that you created when you used FOIL, and we're going to factor out the two binomials. So we're just going to work backwards. We need a basic understanding is when you have x squared plus bx plus c. You are going to look for a set of factors. Remember that factors are two numbers multiplied together to get a product. So you are going to be looking for a set of factors that when multiplied together, they will equal the constant c, and when added together, they will equal the coefficient b. So here I have c, and I'm going to find two numbers that multiplied together to equal c and added together to equal b. So our first example, x squared plus bx plus c. So b is the sum and c is the product. In my example, x squared plus 9x plus 18. I need to list the factors of 18. So I start with 1. Does 1 go into 18? Yes, 18 times. So 1 and 18. 2 and 9. 3 and 6. So now I am looking for which two numbers when multiplied together equal 18. Well, we know all of them do. But which two factors when added together will equal 9? You will see that obviously 3 and 6 are my answer. When c is positive, so that 18 was positive, then the factors are going to have the same sign. We know that two positives multiplied together equal a positive and two negatives multiplied together equal a negative. So they must be the same sign in order to have a positive constant, c. The sign of b, however, will tell you if the factors are positive or negative. When b is positive, then the two factors are both going to have to be positive because you're going to add them together. So when you add two positives, you get a positive. When you add two negatives, you get a negative. So if I knew that b was positive, I knew my factors were going to be positive. So let's try one up here. X squared plus bx plus c when c is positive. So c is still positive. Here's my example. X squared plus x squared plus 6x plus 8. In this case, b is 6, and my constant c is 8. So I am looking for factors of 8 that when added together will equal 6. And I know that both factors are going to be positive because 6 is positive. I decide on 2 and 4. The only problem is that when you start listing all the factors, this could be very time-consuming. Lucky for you, I'm going to show you an amazing shortcut in section 7-4. But for now, you have to learn how to do it the long way. Because when all else fails and you can't remember all those shortcuts, you can't remember all the formulas, you have to know how to do it by hand the long way. Now in this case, I have x squared minus 10x plus 16. Notice that b is negative 10, yet c is positive. How am I going to multiply two numbers to get a positive, but when I add them I get a negative? That means that both of my factors have to be negative values. So again, I am looking for two factors that multiply to equal 16. Well, we already know they all multiply to be 16 because they're factors. But which two add together to equal negative 10? You see that I choose negative 2 and negative 8. Now, you try one. In this case, I have x squared plus 13x plus 42. I am looking for factors of 42. 1 and 42, 2 and 21. You continue going through the factors and make a list, and then decide when you add the factors together which comes out to be 13. Notice that my 13 is positive. I give you a second example. This time my constant is a 40, so I need factors of 40, but when I add the two factors together, they equal negative 13, which means all my factors will be negative. Pause the screen if you'd like. Make your list of factors for 42 and 40 and determine which set of factors either adds together to be a positive 13 in this case or a negative 13 in the second example. Go ahead and pause. Okay, let's look at the answer. In 2C, x plus 6, x plus 7. 6 times 7 is 42, and 6 plus 7 is 13. Negative 5 times negative 4, remember the sign goes with the term. Negative 5 times negative 8 equals positive 40. Negative 5 plus negative 8, negative 13. Good job. All right, what happens if C, your constant, is negative? So I have a negative 18 here. Well, if C is negative, that means that one factor must be positive and one must be negative. In order to multiply two numbers together and get a negative answer, I must have one of each. However, I have a positive B, which means that my larger factor, the larger digit, must be positive, so that when I combine them together, I still get a positive answer. So I look for factors of negative 18. Again, I'm going to get 1 and 18, 2 and 9, 3 and 6. The larger digit has to be the positive one. So that's how I knew I would use my negative sign on the 1, the 2, and the 3, because the larger digit has to be positive in order to get a positive sum. Which two add together to equal a positive 7? Right here, negative 2, positive 9. I suggest you take a moment and really look at this and not just keep going through the video. Make sure you understand. X squared minus 5x minus 25. I have a negative C and a negative B. That means I have a positive and a negative factor, but this time the larger digit is going to be negative. So I look at my factors of 24. 1 and 24, 2 and 12, 3 and 8, 4 and 6. Take the larger digit and make it negative. Now when I add them together, they need to equal a negative 5. Right here, positive 3, negative 8. Now, of course, being more mathematically correct, instead of me saying the larger digit, what you're looking for is the factor with the greatest absolute value is the one that is either negative or positive. Remember, absolute value is a distance from 0. It is always a positive value. You're just looking for which digit has the largest absolute value, and then you make that one positive or negative. Here we go. Let's practice again. C is negative this time, but B is positive in this case. So give me factors of 15. Make the largest absolute value factor negative, or positive in this case, because I have a plus 2. So you're going to have one negative and one positive, but the largest digit has to be positive. Down here, I've got a negative 20. I need factors of 20. And in this case, the larger digit has to be negative because B is negative. Pause the screen. Welcome back. Here we go for our answer. In the first case, 5 and negative 3. In the second, I have a negative 10 and a positive 2. Negative 10 times positive 2 is negative 20. Negative 10 plus 2, negative 8. Again, go back and review. evaluating the polynomials, be aware that the trinomial and the factored binomial. So here's your trinomial. In chapter 6, we took binomials and created trinomials. Be aware that these two equal each other. As long as you are using the exact same x values. So if I decide that x is 0 and I put in 0 for all the x's, I will have equal. This trinomial will equal this set of binomials. I can replace x with 1. You will see on the quiz that I gave you, there is a question just like this. It was already done for you on the quiz, but take a look at it and make sure that you understand that all we're doing is substituting in values for x and solving both sides. So I am proving to you that when x is 0, I do the trinomial, I get 24. I do the two binomials using the FOIL method, I get 24. All the way down, I get the exact same answers. The original polynomial and the factored form have the same value for a given x value. They equal each other. Enjoy and make sure that you do some examples.